Hi guys, welcome to my new channel called Storytime with Dawn. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I hope you enjoy. Today's first story, Mr. Happy, by Roger Hargreaves. This is one of my favorite books. On the other side of the world, where the sun shines hotter than here, and where the trees are 100 feet tall, there is a country called Happyland. Everybody who lives in Happyland is happy all day long. Wherever you go, you see happy, smiling faces all around. It's such a happy place that even the flowers seem to smile in Happyland. Smiling flowers. And as well as all the people being happy, all the animals in Happyland are happy as well. If you've never seen a mouse smile, or a cat, or a dog, or even a worm, go to Happyland. This is a story about someone who lived there who happened to be called Mr. Happy. Mr. Happy was fat and round and happy. One day, while Mr. Happy was walking through the woods, he came across something quite unusual. There in the trunk of one of the very tall trees was a door. Not a very large door, but nevertheless a door. Certainly a door. A small, narrow, yellow door. Definitely a door. I wonder who lives there, thought Mr. Happy to himself, and he turned the knob of that small, narrow, yellow door. The door wasn't locked, and it swung open quite easily. Just inside that small, narrow, yellow door was a small, narrow, winding staircase leading downwards. Mr. Happy squeezed his rather large body through the rather thin doorway and began to walk down the stairs. The stairs went round and round, and down and down, and round and down, and down and round. Eventually, after a long time, Mr. Happy reached the bottom of the staircase. He looked around and saw, there in front of him, another small, narrow door. But this one was, what color? Red. Mr. Happy knocked at the door. "Who's there?" said a voice, a sad, squeaky sort of voice. "Who's there?" Mr. Happy pushed open the red door slowly, and there, sitting on a stool, was somebody who looked exactly like Mr. Happy, except that he didn't look happy at all. In fact, he looked downright miserable. "Hello," said Mr. Happy. "I'm Mr. Happy." "Oh," sniffled the person who looked like Mr. Happy but wasn't. "Well, my name is Mr. Miserable, and I'm the most miserable person in the world." "Why are you so miserable?" asked Mr. Happy. "Because I am," replied Mr. Miserable. Mr. Happy thought. "How would you like to be happy like me?" asked Mr. Happy. "I'd give anything to be happy," said Mr. Miserable. "But I'm so miserable, I don't think I could ever be happy," he added miserably. Mr. Happy made up his mind quickly. "Follow me," he said. "Where to?" asked Mr. Miserable. "Don't argue," said Mr. Happy, and he went out through the small, narrow red door. Mr. Miserable hesitated and then followed. Up and up the winding staircase they went, up and up and round and round, and up and round and up, until they came out into the woods. "Follow me," said Mr. Happy again, and they both went through the woods back to Mr. Happy's cottage. Mr. Miserable stayed in Mr. Happy's cottage for quite some time. During that time, the most remarkable thing happened. Because he was living in Happyland, Mr. Miserable, ever so slowly, stopped being miserable and started being happy. His mouth stopped turning down at the corners. And ever so slowly started turning up at the corners. And eventually Mr. Miserable did something that he had never done before in his life. What is it? What do you think? Yep, he smiled. And then he chuckled, which turned into a giggle, which became a laugh. A big, booming, hearty, huge, giant, large, enormous laugh. And Mr. Happy was so surprised that he started to laugh too. And both of them laughed and laughed. They laughed until their sides hurt and their eyes watered. You ever laugh so hard your eyes watered? I have. Mr. Miserable and Mr. Happy laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. And because they were laughing so much, everybody who saw them started laughing as well. Even the birds in the trees started to laugh at the thought of somebody called Mr. Miserable who couldn't stop laughing. And that's the end of the story, except to say that if you ever feel as miserable as Mr. Miserable used to, you know exactly what to do, don't you? Look at them. Even the bird. Just turn your mouth up at the corners. Go on. The end. And if you comment down below, you can tell me which book you'd like me to read next. Enjoy your day. Thanks for coming. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Bye.